The Chicago Blackhawks and the Pittsburgh Penguins wrap up their home and home series tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern. But how did the game in the Windy City go between Pittsburgh and Chicago? We're talking about that today on this episode, our most latest episode of Penguins Postgame. My name is Scott McGregor. Let's talk Pens and Hawks. You're locked in to Penguins hockey on the Sports for Beginners podcast. Sidney Crosby and the Penguins play here on the Sports for Beginners podcast. He shoots, he scores. The bingo game is ready to roll. Welcome to Penguins Postgame. A PPG for PGH. And you'd have to be here to believe it. Here is your host, Scott McGregor. Penguins and the Hawks. Pens taking on the Hawks in the final back-to-back of the regular season. Hello everybody and welcome in to Penguins Postgame. I am your host, Scott McGregor. Want to issue a quick programming update here before we get started with our usual topics to kick us off. The head coaches and starting goaltenders. A quick programming note for you. The following games against Florida, Ottawa, and St. Louis, including our St. Louis episode for Season 4 of Sports for Beginners, will be made available to you as soon as we possibly can get them to you. They are a bit behind in schedule, but we will keep things rolling the best way that we can. And also, I would like to let everyone know on this show that these final shows, prior to those that we have to do for you, including our Florida Panthers re-recording of that post-game show, in which the Penguins lost that game, and the upcoming games for the Penguins as well, against Chicago later tonight, as we are wrapping up the series with Chicago tonight on this Tuesday, April the 8th, 2025. And then taking on New Jersey, Boston, and Washington to close out the season. Those games, rather, I shall say, will be the last installments of Penguins postgame for the 2025, 2024, 2025, regular season of our coverage. Will our show, even though it's Penguins hockey based, return next season? Stay tuned during our Washington Capitals recap or our Boston Bruins recap to find out the details on that. But right now, let's stick to the game leading up to tonight's game. We will do the 3 stars of the game, and we will have the game puck of the game following our shake of the game a little bit later. All right, let's jump in. Enough distractions. Let's jump in, shall we? Here we go. Not too many penalties to talk about in this one, but we will get there when we get there. Let's talk about the head coaches, officiating crew. We'll get to scratches later in the show. We'll get to scratches later in the show. But we will get to the coaching, officiating crew, and our goaltending matchup starting right now. And let's start with our coaches. The coaches, as you will know, for our Tuesday recording, which will come your way on Wednesday, I'll bring that to you on Wednesday, which is the 9th of April this week. Our coaches are Anders Sorensen, Anders Sorensen, I hope I have that right. Anders, if I pronounced your last name wrong or your first name wrong, I apologize. And of course, for your Pittsburgh Penguins, the head coach is Mike Sullivan. Will that be the same come 2025-2026? Well, we'll just have to wait and see what happens on that end. Today's officiating crew for the game on Sunday, that's when the game took place, which was Sunday, April the 6th, 2025. It was Chris S. as one of the referees, wearing the number. I marked down our officiating numbers in our notes here for this game. So let's quickly reveal to you the officiating numbers. Number 3 was Chris Shalenker. Chris, if I pronounced that wrong, I apologize. And number 41 was our second referee for the game, Grady Hamilton. Mr. Hamilton, same thing for the other referee. If I pronounce the last name or the first name wrong, sincerest apologies in advance. Same thing for coaches and players as well. The linesmen, or linesperson were Ben O'Quinn and Ryan Daisy. Ben O'Quinn wearing the number 91, Ryan Daisy wearing the number 81. Those were our linesmen or linesperson. Want to make sure I'm not saying lions, which I just said now, but I want to make sure I will say lines, as the rest of the officiating crew for this game. I don't know if it's the same officiating crew for the game in Pittsburgh coming up later tonight the pregame show starts in about 2 hours, I believe, on the Penguins Radio Network. Yeah, the same thing for the Blue Jays baseball show. That will be beginning at 6 p.m. Eastern. It is actually 3:34 p.m. Eastern time as we are talking to you right now. Maple Leafs also in action, as are the Blue Jays, but we'll talk about that another time. Maybe we will talk about it on our Wednesday program, wrapping up that home and home series. But we do have excuse me there, ladies and gentlemen. We do have Maple Leafs and Penguins hockey tonight in about 3 hours and 25 minutes. Well, actually more like 3 hours and 24 minutes to the exact. But we'll get there when we get there. All you need to know is the teams we are talking about right now are doing battle again tonight. And here's a look at, as we move on into our goaltending matchup, here's a look at our starters in goal. For the Pittsburgh Penguins, the backup would be number 35, Tristan Jarry. The starter would be number 39, Alex Nedeljkovic. Again, that's Alex Nedeljkovic kicking things off in the starting role for the Penguins in net. I would think Jari is going to get the start in tonight's game, but we will take a look at the lineup as we wrap up this show for this game, the projected lineups. And those lineups, by the way, can change within a I won't say crosshair, but they will change probably before we hit the puck. Probably before we hit the ice, I should say. Moving on. That's the Penguins lineup for between the pipes or in goal. In goal is Nedeljkovic for this game. Jari is the backup. Nedeljkovic would go on the other side of the ice against Spencer Knight, who would be backed up by Andres Soderblom. Want to make sure I have that right here, so that's why I have this loading for us here. Alfred Soderblom, excuse me. Alfred Soderblom is who I have as our backup. That is number 40 of the Chicago Blackhawks. Spencer Knight was number 30, so it's 30 versus 39 in goal. Stats coming up in a little bit, as well as 3 stars, and of course the play of the game. But right now, we are going to take a quick commercial break. Before we do that, I do want to get into the penalties, and we will get into our scoring in the second half of our show, as well as our stats, 3 stars, and what we can get in there as well. So without further ado, let's keep this thing going. Our penalties occurred in the second period of play and third period of play. 3 periods of play, but only 2 periods where scoring and penalties were called. In the second period, the penalties belonged to Chicago. First, they went to Joseph Villano, 2 minutes for hooking, at the 17-minute and 1 second mark of the second period. At the 19-minute and 14 second mark of the second period, Oliver Moore would go to the box for a slashing minor. Penguin players who drew those penalties were former Toronto Maple Leaf Noel Acciari and Ryan Shea. Ryan Shea with the draw of the slashing minor at 19 minutes and 14 seconds. Nearing the end of the period, Joseph Villano getting nabbed for hooking at 17 minutes and 1 second, thanks to Noel Acciari, who drew that penalty. In the third period, Matt Grzelcyk, the former Boston Bruin, is nabbed for a slashing minor of Pittsburgh's own. One of the goal scorers who actually scored shorthanded for Chicago, getting the credit to call this penalty on Matt Grzelcyk. A slashing minor for Grzelcyk, 1 minute and 6 seconds in, bringing us to a little 4-on-4 hockey after the Penguins would start the third period with 74 seconds left to kill. No, not to kill. To score on the power play. 74 seconds for the Blackhawks to kill that penalty. but they got the next best thing besides killing off the penalty. A Matt Grzelcyk slashing minor. 1 minute and 6 seconds into the third. At the 14-minute and 20-second mark of the third period, Tyler Bertuzzi, a former Toronto Maple Leaf player and Detroit Red Wings player, was assessed a 2-minute minor for tripping, nabbed by the referees, and drawn by Penguins player Evgeny Malkin, who scored in this game. Frank Nazar drew a penalty. Did he also score? Well, I can tell you that he did, but we will get that to you when Penguins postgame continues in a moment. We will also talk about the third period scoring as well. And the 3 stars and game totals are on the way as well as we continue on Penguins postgame. Blackhawks and the Penguins, the home and home, which wraps up tonight. It will continue in just a moment. You are listening to Pittsburgh Penguins hockey on Sports for Beginners. Back in a moment.
CNT Radio will never give you up. They will never let you down. Nor will they run around or desert you. So join Nick Astley for The Melting Pot every Saturday on CNT Radio. Hang on a minute. He's not Nick Astley. Oh, jings, I've done it wrong. Anyway, just join Nick for The Melting Pot on CNT Radio.
Take another look with Gerda Felix and Melanie Taddeo Malo, two powerful women of diverse backgrounds having genuine, unique, and uncomfortable conversations that everyone needs to have. Join Melanie and Gerda for conversations about what is missing from human connections.
I wonder if I could make it. It's almost getting to 8 o'clock p.m., and I am still a few more steps away from home to get to my computer to listen to CNT Radio's Cosmopolitan Culture Club. The best of the best music from around the world. Can't wait! I think I made it! CNT Radio, making your day brighter, one song at a time.
Welcome back to Penguins postgame. Penguins and the Hawks. Showdown in the Windy City is where the game went down that we are recapping right now. Penguins and the Hawks, they will do battle in PPG Paints Arena later on tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern. Looking forward to bringing you that coverage as well, but in case you missed it before we jumped into the goaltending, coaching, and of course officiating crew, I wanted to issue a quick note that the following shows, the St. Louis Blues coverage, the Florida Panthers coverage, and the Ottawa Senators coverage will be covered when we get an opportunity to do so. And the following games, including the game tonight against Chicago, are the final games that we will be covering this season on Penguins postgame. And I also would like to initiate the same thing that I mentioned on our Facebook page. I posted this out on our Facebook page. Episodes have been flagged on our Spotify for creators and of course on YouTube a couple of times, but we are now focused on what has been happening on Spotify for creators. Now, just so you know, I would like to let everyone know who listens to this show, whether it's on YouTube or on your favorite podcasting platform, Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. Because this has happened with Sports for Beginners, we take privacy of our contributors and our guests very, very seriously. And we understand third-party content that is not ours is very dangerous to have, especially if it's unauthorized. I'll take a quick moment here on our show to reveal the special podcast announcement by reading it to you. So my special podcast announcement that I posted on our Facebook page yesterday goes as this. Special podcast announcement. Important announcement. Good evening, Sports for Beginners listeners. It has come to our attention that a couple of episodes, mostly season content, and some bonus content have had to be removed due to unauthorized third-party content use. This includes our Season 2 and Season 1 Christmas finale episodes, as well as a couple of Penguins post-game shows, Dolphins post-game content, Bills post-game content, and Maple Leaf hockey content that we have removed and taken down from our server after receiving word of the third-party use that was unauthorized. We take these things very seriously and we'll work our way to making sure that no more episodes have to be taken down, whether they are season finale episodes, interview shows, I should say, you name it. This also goes for content episodes when it comes down to game recaps, like this show in general. So you can go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/sportsforbeginners87, and find out more. We posted this yesterday to alert everyone that we understood what was going on and we're acting as soon as we've been notified episodes have been taken down. So once again, we take this very, very seriously. And would like to inform listeners, as we have since we began in 2022, no matter how long our shows may be, as we are trying to get them to podcast, we are trying to get them to podcast length, as we are now about 21 minutes into the show. So if this one ends up being an hour, it's okay. But I just felt we needed to get that in here as we roll in and as we roll along. I wanted to make sure that we got that in there so that everyone listening to the show is aware, especially if you're listening from Sienna T Radio or elsewhere, even on Broadcast Map or on the Ice and Behind the Benches, that we take these things very, very seriously. And this is also part of the reason why we have stopped bringing you post-game show content with post-game media availability, with the actual coaches and players talking. So with that out of the way, I wanted to bring that to our attention first and foremost before we continued on. Before the break, after the coaches, officiating crew, and goaltending matchup, and the note that we've talked about earlier on, as these two teams will do battle once again tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern, let's take a look at after the penalties, which we did before the break. Let's take a look at what happened in the periods where scoring and penalties happened. Because in the first period of play, well, you could count the number of shots after the first period of play, but nothing really happened. No penalties, but I do understand that there was a shot on goal by the Penguins that would have been ruled a goal, but was ruled off, or waved off rather, not ruled off, waved off due to a high stick. They went under review, and after review, it was determined that the play was, I won't say offside, but the play was stopped due to a high stick. Therefore, we had no goal for Pittsburgh. I do remember in listening to the broadcast on WXDX FM Pittsburgh, the Penguins radio network broadcast, by the way, that I listen to when I'm not able to see the game on TV, that the referee let everyone know that there was indeed a high stick. So therefore, we had no goal down in the Windy City for what could have been the first goal of the game, and it could have been scored by the Pittsburgh Penguins. The first goal that was scored came short-handed during the penalty to, in case you missed it in our penalty summary, Joseph Villano, who received a 2-minute minor for hooking. At that point in time, it's 17 minutes and 1 second. At 18 minutes and 55 seconds, Frank Nazar picked up his 9th goal of the season. Tero Teravainen with his 42nd assist of the season. Assist number 42 of the season for him. The Blackhawks take the icebreaker in this one and take a lead on the Chicago Blackhawks. It's 1-0. Chicago after 40 minutes of play. So we were tied after 20 minutes of play at zeros. After 40 minutes of play, the Hawks with the game leader. They have the game's only goal. A shorthanded goal, 9th of the season for Frank Nazar. Third period we go. Penguins do get on the board, but this man who scored Chicago's second goal scores twice, and what would lead us to our final score. Former Maple Leaf, and of course whatever you want to call it for the rest of his stats. I will remember the Maple Leaf version of it, but Ilya Mikheyev has also played for other teams. He's playing with Chicago right now. He strikes for his 19th goal of the season. Connor Bedard with his 40th assist of the season in his rookie season. Is this his rookie season? I think he played last year. I gotta remember. I think this is his rookie season. But I'll get into that after the show is over. At least before we we break down the game at PPG Paints Arena later tonight. Reminder, that game is tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern at the time of our recording. We will bring the recap for you of that game on Wednesday, so be sure you stick with us for that. With luck, you might even hear it after the hockey game tonight. You might hear it after the hockey game tonight. Anyways, Ilya McCabe, 19th goal of the season. Connor Bedard with the primary assist, his 40th of the season. Sam Rinzel, I'll double check here my notes to make sure I got this right, and I'll also double check I will also be double checking the scoreboard there to make sure that we got the first name right. If I pronounced it wrong, I apologize. And this was number 6 of the Chicago Blackhawks. He puts up an assist in this one. With this goal by Ilya McCabe, his first of the game and 19th of the season, the Blackhawks are up by 2. Yet that is indeed Sam Rinzel who picks up an assist. His first of the season. Congratulations, my friend. First of the year. Congratulations. That comes at 9 minutes and 40 seconds, so it is an even strength goal. It's not a power play goal for Chicago. Speaking of power play goals, while the Blackhawks struck shorthanded in the second period of play, the Penguins strike on the power play in the third period. Of their one of 3 tries they would get, they strike in the third period and score. It's number 34 on the season for Ricard Raquel. PPG for PGH, as Josh Sketsup would like to say. The Rusty Razor, Brian Rust, picking up assist number 31 on the season. Vilya Kovovin picking up his second assist of the season. Penguins on the board. What was 2-0 is now 2-1. Penguins empty the net after the goal at 14 minutes and 36 seconds. And of course, that goal at 9 minutes and 40 seconds. Of course, this is a couple of minutes down the road. We're down to pretty much the last minute of play in the third period at this time. And at 19 minutes and 4 seconds, Ilya McCabe strikes again, his second goal of the game, 20th of the season. Nick Foligno picking up his 19th assist of the season. And Joe Villano picking up his 8th assist of the season, picks up a penalty, picks up a And of course, that would end the game at 3-1, our final. Time of the goal, which was an empty net goal, as Alex Nedeljkovic was pulled by Tristan. I was going to say Tristan, but I'm quickly correcting myself. That's actually head coach Mike Sullivan who pulled him at 19 minutes and 4 seconds. Moving on. Your final score in the Windy City at the United Center, where this game took place on Sunday, April 6th, 2025. At the United Center is 3-1, and here are your game totals for this game. For the Penguins, they finished the game in the face-off dot. That's where we're going to start off. Winning 26 out of 43 face-offs. The Blackhawks only won 17 out of 43 face-offs. Face-off percentages are 39.5% for the Blackhawks, 60.5% for the Penguins, just about 40% and 61% is what we are looking at for the Penguins and the Blackhawks. The Penguins finished the first period with 8 shots on goal, 11 shots on goal in the second period of play. And they wrap up the game with 10 shots on goal in the third period. They won periods 1 and 2. They lost period 3. Chicago with 6 shots on goal in the first period, 9 shots on goal in the second period, and 16 shots on goal in the third period to outshoot Pittsburgh by just 2 shots. Well, make it 3. No, we'll just go with 2. As our final shots on goal tally was 31-29 in favor of the Blackhawks. The Penguins' penalty kill, a perfect 1-for-1. Chicago's penalty kill, 2-for-3. The power play for Chicago, 0-for-1 on the night. Penguins power play, 1-for-3 on the night. Penalty minutes, Chicago led in penalty minutes, 6-2. Penguins only spent 2 minutes in the penalty box, 6 minutes for the Chicago Blackhawks. Penguins out-hit the Blackhawks 27-19. Giveaways galore for the Hawks and the Penguins. Penguins finishing with 22. Blackhawks finishing with 21. Blocked shots in favor of the Hawks at 10-7. Takeaways in favor of the Penguins at 9-7. Time now for your 3 stars of the game and a quick disclaimer. Due to time constraints, we will not do that for the play of the game. But, you know what? We'll do it. We're going to go ahead and do it. So our disclaimer for our 3 stars of the game is because this is sponsored on the Penguins Radio Network by your neighborhood Ford stores in Pittsburgh. Ford cars, trucks, and SUVs are the official vehicles of your Pittsburgh Penguins. How's that for our powerhouse squad? We are not sponsored by Ford, the official car, truck, and SUV of the Pittsburgh Penguins. But we just After doing the disclaimer, we like to give you, the fans, the opportunity to tell us your 3 stars of the game. If we had a guest on our show, which we do not at this time, we would give them the opportunity to do this. If we had a guest's comments on the podcast for this recap, we would give them the 3 stars of the game. Same for the shake of the game and the game puck of the game as well. But we do not have either as of yet. So I will provide you with them. Our 3rd star went to the aforementioned Frank Nazar. 1 goal, 1 point, no assists on the day. The 2nd star went to the Chicago goaltender, Spencer Knight. A goals against average of 1.00. Save percentage, ladies and gentlemen, of 966. That was your 2nd star. And your 1st star of the game went to the aforementioned 2 goal scorer, 2 points, no assists, Chicago right winger, Ilya McCabe. Ilya McCabe, Spencer Knight, and Frank Nazar, your 3 stars of the game for this one. All right, ladies and gentlemen, when we return to Penguins postgame, we are going into our play of the game, sponsored by, on the Penguins Radio Network, that we are not sponsored by, Rivers Casino, Pittsburgh's entertainment destination. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. If you have questions or concerns about your gambling or somebody close to you in Ontario, please contact Connex Ontario at 1-866-531-2600 to speak to an advisor free of charge. Must be 18 years or older to play. Message also for 21 and older. Please play responsibly. After the play of the game is revealed, I should say, we'll take a look at Sunday's action, including the biggest story of the day, Alexander Ovechkin breaks the record of Wayne Gretzky. You'll find out what the record is, and I might have overstepped on the Dallas one, so we will correct that on this episode of Penguins Postgame, just in case I overstepped that for the number of goals. But I do know this. For 31 years, Wayne Gretzky and Gordie Howe have held that record for the most all-time goals in the National Hockey League, and now that title belongs to Alex Ovechkin. That will be an NHL Roundup that we will get to before we get to the play of the game. After the play of the game and the NHL Roundup on Sunday, we will do a shake of the game, and then after our final break of our show, we will get into the game puck of the game. And the final, well, I won't say final, but the next upcoming matchups for Chicago, let's do that. The next upcoming matchups for Chicago and Pittsburgh Games get shorter, and I'll also provide you with an update on where the Penguins stand, and just a disclaimer for the Ottawa game, St. Louis game, and Florida game. By that time, the Penguins had not yet been eliminated from playoff contention, but they have been now, and you'll find out why when we take a look at the standings later on in the show. Also later on, as we count down to puck drop between the Hawks and the Penguins tonight at PPG Paints Arena, we will go between the pipes, as we will do on our post-game show. To give you an update on who is potentially starting the game in Pittsburgh for Chicago and Pittsburgh this time around. Penguins postgame will continue in a moment with the play of the game, NHL Sunday Roundup, and the shake of the game on the way next. Looking for a good hockey podcast that covers your favorite hockey teams and mine? Check out On the Ice and Behind the Benches, where we chat about our favorite hockey teams from puck drop to the last play of the action. To learn more, follow the On the Ice and Behind the Benches Facebook page. Search On the Ice and Behind the Benches.
I wonder if I could make it. It's almost getting to 8 o'clock p.m., and I am still a few more steps away from home to get to my computer to listen to CNT Radio's Cosmopolitan Culture Club. The best of the best music from around the world. Can't wait! I think I made it! CNT Radio, making your day brighter, one song at a time.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Penguins postgame. Penguins and the Hawks coming up. Game 2's coming up in a few hours from now. Pre-game show on the Penguins Radio Network starting in about 1 hour and 30 minutes from now. The showdown itself coming up in about 2 hours and 30 minutes from now. Game time, once again, as I mentioned off the top of our program, is at 7 p.m. Eastern. That also is 6 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Pacific, and of course 5 p.m. Mountain Time. Given our time zones, we're not going to worry about the UK or France for this one, but I just stuck with Pacific, Central, Mountain, and Eastern Time, as I also am on the East Coast right now, running this show for you right now. When we last left in our program, we talked about the scoring. We brought up our 3 stars of the game, and we talked game totals. So now that that's out of the way, the shake of the game is coming up in the next few minutes for our program. But first, I want to take this opportunity to jump in to action around the NHL when it comes to Sunday's Roundup. we will talk about the shake of the game and get into the play of the game that I mentioned in a disclaimer prior to a little bit later. But here we go with our roundup of Sunday. All the games from Sunday have gone final as we speak. With you, getting you ready for Tuesday night's action. We won't get you ready for all the games on the Tuesday slate. But part of the reason is because I want to save that for our Tuesday wraparound on our Wednesday program. Who knows, maybe on the Tuesday program that we do on Wednesday after the game, we'll get you ready for the games on Wednesday as well. The big topic of Sunday was Wayne Gretzky's record is broken. Now, a lot of people might be asking, and I might have oopsed on this. I may have oopsed on this when I said the most goals in the history of the NHL. That now, right now, ladies and gentlemen, belongs to the one and only. That belongs right now to the one and only Alexander Ovechkin. But what was the record that Wayne Gretzky had that Alexander Ovechkin beat? What was the record? I said 894. Was that the record to beat? Or was it 801? Let's see. Let us see what we can find out. And while we do, while we've got ourselves in our screen share here, elsewhere down in Minneapolis, the Wild defeat the Stars 3-2 in overtime down in Minneapolis in St. Paul, Minnesota. Ottawa picking up one of many shutouts to speak of in this game. And according to records.nhl.com, the record I did have that correct. It was indeed 894, but now the record to beat is 895. Gordie Howe had the record before Wayne Gretzky took it over, finishing off with the most goals in the National Hockey League at 801. So Alex crushed both Wayne and Gordie Howe's record. In the process of chasing the Great One. And he has now become the Great Eight. But let's keep it back to the games from Sunday. Before we get back to the game, when we talk about Alexander Ovechkin. So, what we know, Minnesota beat the Stars 3-2 in overtime. Ottawa beat the Jackets 4-0. In Ottawa, we also saw the Panthers fall 2-1 to the Red Wings. Buffalo Sabres beat the Boston Bruins 6-3 in Boston. Our final score, Penguins lost to the Blackhawks 3-1. A 2-1 final for the Montreal Canadiens. They defeat the Predators 2-1. Vancouver falls to the Golden Knights. They fall to the Golden Knights 3-2. And only one shutout of the day to be recorded on this Sunday. That was the Senators beating the Jackets 4-0. And then the other final score, the only 4-1 final of the day, happened before everybody else started playing hockey. And that was Islanders defeating the Washington Capitals 4-1. But this man, number 8 of the Washington Capitals, scored goal number 42 of the season. And in doing so, as we stop the share here, broke Wayne Gretzky's record of .894 in Wayne's career. Heck of a day for Wayne Gretzky to witness Alexander Ovechkin making history and becoming the new all-time leader in the NHL. That will lead us, ladies and gentlemen, as we roll on this show. We're almost at the end of the show, but that will lead us to our play of the game. As mentioned before we took the break, the play of the game is sponsored on the Penguins Radio Network by Rivers Casino, Pittsburgh's entertainment destination. If you have questions or concerns about your gambling or somebody close to you in Ontario, please contact Connex Ontario at 1-866-531-2600 to speak to an advisor free of charge. Must be 18 years or older to play. Please play responsibly. If you have questions or concerns about your gambling or somebody close to you in the United States and most likely in Pittsburgh, please contact Rivers Casino at 1-800-GAMBLER. Message for 21 and older, and message, once again, not only for 21 and older, but for 18 years or older to play. Please play responsibly. We are not sponsored by it, but this would be a good time before we reveal from me my play of the game to let you know that we have a Discord server up. And if you want to get in on the action, simply send us an email at sportsforbeginnerspodcast8231@gmail.com, or visit our Penguins Postgame Show Discord server, Penguins Postgame Show Interactions, to get in touch with us for a difference in opinion in the 3 stars of the game, a play that stood out to you for your play of the game. Who do you think stood out and should receive a game puck of the game? And, of course, who do you think stood out to you and is worthy of a shake of the game? More on that in just a moment for the shake of the game. My play of the game is going to go to none other than Ilya McCabe. He had the game-winning goal up until Ricard Raquel got into the deficit, which was 2 goals. And that's what it ended up being at the end of the game, 3-1 our final score once again. But Ricard Raquel picking up goal number 34 on the season. And his goal on the power play was runner-up to the first goal scored by Ilya McCabe. Ilya scored twice, but I'm going to go with his first goal of the game, which is good enough for my play of the game. But I'm not going to leave Ilya McCabe, Spencer Knight, or anybody hanging. It's time for our main attraction of our show, our alternate player of the game segment. We call the shake of the game. It was inspired by former Pittsburgh Penguin Jake Gensel and the Milkshake Factory ad he had created, which is now currently being run by by Pittsburgh Penguin forward number 17, Brian Rust. So whenever Brian Rust scores, whether it's in this game, whether it's in tonight's game, whether it's in this game as in tonight's game, or it was in the game that we are recapping right now from Sunday, or the game against St. Louis, or against Ottawa, or against Florida, or even against the teams coming up for Pittsburgh, including the New Jersey Devils, Boston Bruins, and Washington Capitals, not Nationals, Capitals, excuse me. I was saying Nationals, but I quickly corrected myself there for Capitals. You will receive, Penguin fans, half off Rusty Shakes the next day at the Milkshake Factory, providing you the official milkshake of your Pittsburgh Penguins. Runners up in the shake of the game will go into the running for the game puck of the game coming up in just under 5 minutes from now, as we are heading into the closing moments of our show. When we lost connection for a bit during our break for the show, we were at 43 minutes and 20 seconds into the show. We now have at least an hour and 6 minutes and 40 seconds that we are into the show. So we are closing up the shop once we are through with our shake of the game and going into the game puck of the game. As we continue to keep our eyes on the clock, it is 4:46 p.m. Eastern, which means it is on the Central Time Zone. It is 3:46 p.m. Central, which means pregame show on WXDX FM Pittsburgh, as well as on Sportsnet and Sportsnet 590 of the Fan, is going to be getting started very shortly. In just 1 hour, But you've still got 2 hours till Maple Leafs and Penguins taking on their opponents. For the Pittsburgh Penguins, it is Chicago once again. For Toronto, it's Florida, this time in Florida. And then, of course, you've got the Blue Jays going head to toe, I should say head to head, against the Boston Red Sox, continuing a 4-game, 3-game series, whatever you want to call it. As I looked at the schedule, it was a 4-game series against the Red Sox. They have a 3-game series coming up this weekend against Baltimore. We will be back with you on Blue Jays game recap for that show. But please feel free to check out our coverage of the Nationals, Orioles, and of course the Mets. We will be covering Boston Red Sox baseball against the Blue Jays on Blue Jays game recap, but not until the Blue Jays welcome in the Red Sox into Rogers Center for the first time this season. By then, they will have played this 4-game set to wrap up on Thursday. But who knows? Perhaps we will do a Bucks and Pucks segment on our next Blackhawks and Penguins recap. Who knows? Okay. With that being said, let's keep it back to Let's keep it back to hockey. So you've got the Penguins and the Blackhawks coming up from Pittsburgh very soon. But let's do the shake of the game to close out this segment, as we said before. So, closing up here, our recipient for the Pittsburgh Penguins for the shake of the game is going to go to Penguins goal scorer Rickard Rakell. Scored 1 goal for 1 point, but I do like what I saw from Rickard Rakell in this game. Was this a good game for Alex Nedeljkovic? No, not really, but hey, losing by 2 goals is a lot better than losing by 4, 5, or 6 goals a game, especially if you were unable to put the puck in the net and let Chicago run up the scoreboard in their house, in their home barn. Tonight, the scene sets on PPG Paints Arena. So we will see where things go from there. The runner-up, and now that I think about it, we'll just do the game puck of the game before we take the last break of the show. The runner-up for the shake of the game would be Nedeljkovic. So he will get the game puck of the game for me. Not a great game by him, but he and Spencer Knight both put on solid, forget what I said there, but I will say solid performances in that first period of play. First, it was Nedeljkovic on the Penguin side, and then on the Blackhawks side, it was Spencer Knight. Spencer Knight's going to get the game puck of the game for Chicago. Nedeljkovic is going to get the game puck of the game for the Penguins. Rickard Rakell with the shake of the game for Pittsburgh. And the game puck of the game recipient for the Blackhawks, as I mentioned, that is Spencer Knight. Our recipient of the shake of the game is goal scorer Frank Nazard. Didn't score 2 goals in the game, but drew a penalty and scored a goal. I like what I saw from him. Will he play in tonight's game? Yeah, I think so. I think we're going to see this guy again down in Pittsburgh. I think we're going to see him again. But again, we don't know if he got hurt in practice. We don't know if he got hurt in Sunday's action. Whatever the case, we hope that he's okay. And I think we could see him. The same as when we review our lineup for Game 2, coming up after we reveal, I guess you could say, the final games of the season in our upcoming games. I call it the next 4 games, but we will, I guess, call it the next final games of the season. That's coming up next in about a few minutes from now when we take our quick word from Sienna T Radio, making your day brighter one song at a time. And of course, we will give you a look at the Penguins' playoff hopes and what is basically happening the rest of the way in our Penguins post-game coverage. Penguins and the Hawks again tonight. Then it's Devils, Bruins, and Capitals. We'll talk about it all right after this short word from our friends at Sienna T Radio, making your day brighter one song at a time. Back after this.
What a busy traffic on this Friday evening. I am almost stuck in this traffic for the last 40 minutes. And there is no way, I think, for me to get to the show. The Sienna T Radio Song Bank, which is going to start very shortly. It's one of my favorite shows. And my, what a way to wind down for the weekend. Perfect 2 hours of fun-filled music. And she has so many great features. Sound of Music, Undercover, Foreign Exchange. Name that tune. And the big wheel that she spins. For Who's That? Or Where Are We? We cannot forget about the international stage. I have never come across such a great show in my life. I think I will have to press hard on my accelerator and go as fast as I can to get home in time. Wow! Look! I made it! I am almost there! Sienna T Radio, making your day brighter one song at a time.
Welcome back to Penguins postgame. Penguins and Hawks coming back up in just about an hour, 58 minutes from now from puck drop, that is. When you look at 7 o'clock p.m. Well, actually, if you're looking more around the Maple Leaf side of things, it's actually about an hour, 57 minutes away from puck drop. Blue Jays baseball goes at 6:45 p.m. Eastern tonight, which is 1 hour, 43 minutes away from first pitch. The pregame show starting at about the same time as the Penguins hockey show. Coverage on Sportsnet for Blue Jays baseball starts at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. But the coverage for the pregame show starts in just about 57 minutes from now. And about 20 seconds. Make that 57 minutes and 10 seconds from now. In about 57 minutes and 20 seconds from now, it will be time for the pregame show on 105.9 The X, as well as on Sportsnet. Pittsburgh most likely could be Bucks and Pucks time, with the Pirates and Penguins also playing. But with that being said, our program is wrapping up here. So here we go with what is next for Pittsburgh, what is next for Chicago. We will do this one more time during our Chicago recap on Wednesday. And hope you will join us for that. So obviously tonight, we have the game tonight against the Penguins for both the Blackhawks and the Penguins. Both teams battling once again tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Pacific. Which means that pregame show for Blackhawks and the Penguins will start at 4 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Pacific, and start at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, which is about, as I mentioned earlier, well, now it's about 55 minutes away. But as I mentioned earlier on, it was about 57 minutes away. But it's actually now 55 minutes away from beginning on the Penguins radio network. And of course, we've got next up for the Penguins, we've got the Devils, then the Bruins, and then they will wrap it up with the Washington Capitals on Thursday, April the 17th, 2025, which means our final Penguins post-game show. Whether or not we are all caught up to speed with the Florida game, the Blues game, and the Ottawa Senator game, our final coverage of the show will be Friday or most likely Saturday, April 17th, April 18th, or April 19th, 2025. And that will be when you will most likely hear what the plan for Penguins postgame will be going forward as we continue to cover it on Sports for Beginners, the podcast. Will this change how you view it on the ice and behind the benches? I can already tell you that that is not the case. No, no, that is not the case. But don't tell Thomas that. He's the host of On the Ice and Behind the Benches, so don't tell him that. It's something between just us Penguins fans who listen to this show. Whether you listen to it after Penguins Live post-game or live, which has been our goal. We will be going live on certain games, and we will try this out potentially in next season, the 2025-2026 season. But without further ado, before we continue on and get into next time on Penguins postgame, which we already know what's next time, it's going to be the Blackhawks from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Besides the Tuesday game, they will take on the Boston Bruins on Thursday, April the 10th, 2025. That's this Thursday. They will then take on the Winnipeg Jets on Saturday, April the 12th at 7 p.m. Eastern, same time for Boston's game. And then on Monday, April the 14th, they go head-to-head with the Montreal Canadiens. All games are on the same time as tonight's game. The Boston game for Pittsburgh, however, is a 3:30 p.m. start in Pittsburgh. The games against Washington and New Jersey at the same start time as tonight's game, which is 1 hour after the game that started at the United Center on Sunday, which was 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Mountain, 11:08 p.m. in the UK, 11 p.m. in the UK, and midnight in France time. Is that the case for this one? Well, it's 9:10. It's 10:09 p.m. actually right now in London, and 11:10 p.m. in Paris right now. Well, actually now it's 10:10 p.m. in London and also 11:10 p.m. in Paris. So the games will start most likely at 1 a.m. Paris time and midnight in the UK, in London. All things considered, next time on Penguins postgame, it's our wraparound of Penguins and Blackhawks. We will get to the Ottawa program, the Blues program, and the Florida Panther program when we have an opportunity to do so. But tonight, we focus on wrapping up the season series with Chicago. And then this Friday, we focus on wrapping up the season series with the Devils and seeing what we can get out of Washington and Boston, but one game at a time. That is going to do it for this episode of Penguins Postgame. We have actually been recording now for about 1 hour and about 13 minutes and 15 seconds. It's probably longer now, but we are about, in this recording of our program, 35 minutes in. So that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching / listening to the show. If you like what you've been hearing, despite the show being 1 hour or however long it is when we add the commercials in, please consider subscribing to the podcast on YouTube and subscribe there on Spotify, Apple, TuneIn, or wherever you are able to get the podcast. We really appreciate it. If you rate us 5 stars, we appreciate that as well. Thank you very much. It really helps us out. If you have any questions or concerns, please reach out to me at sportsforbeginners podcast8231@gmail.com. And if you are interested in sponsoring our show, please send me an email at sportsforbeginnerspodcast8231@gmail.com. And please make sure you include who you are so that I know who I'm dealing with. Because as I stated before in the opening of the show, privacy of my guests and the contributors to this show, as well as privacy of those music that I was using before that I have refrained from using, as it has led to the issues that I mentioned in my post on Monday night. As why I've refrained from using them. I would like to announce that please know your privacy is my number one priority for all my listeners, all of the fans, everyone who is here as a guest, and so on and so forth. The privacy is my number one priority on this show. My name is Scott McGregor. This has been Penguins Postgame. We will get season episodes and the other game recaps of Penguins Postgame, including tonight's game, to you when we can. Until then, I am Scott McGregor. This has been Penguins Postgame. And as the great old 2-9er says at the end of 2 Minutes with the Old 2-9er, enjoy the hockey game. And always remember, no matter the outcome, now that the Penguins are actually officially eliminated from playoff contention, no matter the outcome, if things are going well elsewhere for the teams that we cheer for, whether we're Toronto Blue Jay fans, Toronto Raptor fans, Pittsburgh Pirate fans, Pittsburgh Steeler fans, whatever the case may be, I will be smiling like a butcher's dog, no matter our outcome. Like I said before, as the old 2-9er would say, enjoy the hockey game, everybody. We will talk to you after Penguins and Hawks from PPG Paints Arena. Ladies and gentlemen, Elvis has just left the building. You've just listened to Pittsburgh Penguins hockey on the Sports for Beginners podcast. To learn more about the show and to view the upcoming schedule, like the Sports for Beginners Facebook page. Search Sports for Beginners or visit the official Sports for Beginners podcast website. Thanks for listening, and until next time, stay tuned. And remember that it is not goodbye, it is until next time. And you'd have to be here to believe it.